Ants, beavers, and bees all have one thing in common. They are genetically programmed to come into this world, take raw materials from their environment, and turn those raw materials into complex functioning homes. If you went back in time 1,000,000 years, you'd see bees and beavers and ants busily building and replicating not only themselves, but their complex social structures and relationships. I had a friend who was a tech consultant. He had to go to Korea a few years ago to visit Samsung. He said that going inside Samsung was like visiting the CIA or something. They had massive security. One of the most underappreciated reasons the Industrial Revolution spread so quickly was how effectively humans copied from other humans. This is essentially how humans learned. A bunch of people will be doing something, and then somebody will come up with a new idea. If that new idea works, then everybody else will copy that new idea. This is essentially how technological growth has spread since the dawn of time. Even primates have been seen copying each other when one of them figures out a new way to do something. But this happened in a peculiar way during the Industrial Revolution. Back then they had copyright laws and patent laws, but the speed of technological increase was far greater than the courts and legal systems could keep up. It's a sad fact of history that most of the inventors who came up with many of those inventions didn't make very much money at all. On one hand, it sucks for them individually to not get paid for their contributions to society. On the other hand, had the copyright and patent laws been as strict as they are today, the Industrial Revolution wouldn't have spread nearly as quickly, and the world today wouldn't be nearly as advanced. The human brain is both a miracle and something that science doesn't even come close to understanding. But we can put the operational behavior of the human brain in three basic categories. One is a receiver of instructions and ideas on how to operate the human body. A factory worker, for example, shows up, is trained how to do their job and do their job. Another way that the brain can be a passive receiver of information is in entertainment. After the factory worker goes home, he reads books or watches TV. A second category is that of a transmitter or replicator. A human brain receives information, internalizes it, and then transmits that information into other human brains. This is when we hear stories and tell those stories to other people, or when we learn complicated things well enough to teach those complicated things to other humans for whatever purpose. A third stage is by taking in information, internalizing it, and then coming up with new ideas and information that nobody has ever heard before. Artists, writers, researchers, and inventors all do this. To the extent that these brains discover new scientific information, they continue to push the boundaries of human knowledge. Of course, all brains are capable of all three categories, not only in a lifetime, but at any given day. The more brains we have doing all three, the more information is available. The more information is available, the more this process will continue and accelerate. Once upon a time, there were a bunch of proto-humans who couldn't speak. Now we have this massively complex society filled with virtually unlimited stuff. In one interesting example, shortly after the Industrial Revolution started in England, a guy from the States came posing as a newspaper reporter. He wanted to do a story on a big textile factory, one of the first pieces of mass production equipment. These big looms would take raw cotton and then process it into cloth and other textiles that could then be later exported to gain massive profits. These basic machines made many countries very wealthy very quickly. They were also the machines that the Luddites wanted to destroy, as they were worried they would destroy their manual labor jobs. The guy pretended to be very impressed, wanting to know everything the factory owner would tell him. They spent all day walking around, the reporter asking questions and the owner eagerly answering them. Then, as soon as this alleged reporter got back to his hotel room, he wrote down everything as much as he could, the specific construction of all the equipment, the angles and the gears and how they were specifically operated. Then he went back to the States and started his own factory in direct competition to the one in England. Samsung has a very strict policy about non-employees entering their facility. My friend had to leave all his devices and wasn't even able to bring in pencil or paper. He had to consult with them using only the information in his brain. Humans are very much like ants and bees and beavers. We are genetically programmed to come into this world, look around us, and take what we see and build things. Only for bees and beavers and ants, they take the pure raw materials and build complex structures in societies. Humans do this on a meta level. We take from what has already been built and take it to a slightly higher level. Once upon a time, there was a bunch of proto-humans who had clubs and animal skins. Every generation of people since then have taken what they've seen and have built it out just a little bit more. What kinds of things will you build?